Wait! That's my car! Whether it's calling my order number, my court reservation, or my license plate number, I can never understand what they're saying over the PA system. Surely, in a world where headphones can be wireless and we can cancel out background noise on a Zoom call like magic, it can't be that hard to build a building speaker setup that's actually clear.
Oh, yes, it can.
But we can do it, right?
I mean, of course.
But first we have to segue
to our sponsor,
Ridge. Start your holiday shopping now and save big during Ridge's Black Friday sale. Get up to 47% off by going through our link in the description today, right now actually.
When we first checked out this space, the echo in here was absolutely mind-blowing. But as you can hear, it's quite a lot better now. We've talked before about how we've sound treated our studio, our lab, and even our workshop to keep reverb and other unpleasantness out of our recordings. And we started with a pretty similar approach here at our badminton gym / LAN gaming center, which, by the way, huge update! We heard back from the city, we're actually gonna be able to do Whale LAN, let's go! Starting with the ceilings, we switched away from our usual cellulose-based spray-on foam and went with a fiberglass spray-on acoustic treatment. It does still add a little bit of insulation, which is always a good thing, but the most important factors were the fact that it goes on a little thinner, it's a little easier to paint, so we didn't end up with that ugly color from the lab again, and maybe most importantly, it is less susceptible to damage and mold in the event that moisture seeps into it. This stuff is great because its porosity and uneven surface act to absorb and scatter any incoming sound waves, significantly reducing reflections between the floor and the ceiling. But unfortunately, we couldn't spray that material all the way down the walls and expect it to hold up to flying birdies, bags, and bodies, or even just people getting bored and picking the foam off the walls while they wait for their next match. Fortunately, the solution was right under our noses, or rather our backs. We already had our eye on these gym mats to provide a sturdy but comfortable backrest for folks who are sitting on our customized storage-friendly benches. And as it turns out, they do a pretty solid job of attenuating many of the problem frequencies that like to bounce around forever in a space like this. So 2 birdies, 1 stone, and all of that. The multi-layer sprung floor and foam and vinyl topper that we installed also contribute to echo reduction, but not as much as the other factors. To demonstrate how effective this ended up being, instead of using my lab microphone, we're gonna switch over to the iPhone 16 Plus that Jordan's holding over there. Back when we started, you wouldn't have been able to make out a bloody word that I was saying from back here, but now, it's downright usable. Not great, but usable.
We're starting off in a much better place, but before we can start blasting amplified sound into our big concrete cavern, we need to make some careful considerations to make sure that every visitor can hear about the limited time offer on left-handed badminton rackets, while also keeping the system intuitive and customizable for staff.
Now, there's a lot of options out there, but for a variety of reasons, a lot of them won't work for us. For starters, there's the traditional PA. These are affordable, super easy to set up. I mean, all you need is a hammer microphone, a cable, a mixer, and it doesn't need to be a fancy one like this, and a powered speaker. And boom, you're off to the races. In fact, it's pretty intelligible all the way from this end of the facility to the other. The only problem is, in order to make it so that Jordan can hear what Dan's saying, go ahead, Dan.
Hey Jordan, how you doing?
You're basically blasting my ears off. It's not balanced.
Can you hear this okay, Jordan?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you.
I mean, I think Jordan can barely hear this.
Yeah. Thank you, Dan. Obviously, we could relocate this entire setup pretty easily for better balance. Or we could wire up the entire facility with audio cable and have it all come back to a central location. But that's going to cost us in flexibility because the best place for, let's say, a tournament draw desk or for a LAN knock are not necessarily going to be the same places. We needed more flexibility. Another option was a constant voltage system. They're commonly 70 volts in North America and 100 volts in Europe. But the voltage isn't important. What's important is you have a bunch of in-ceiling speakers that'll look kind of like this, and they'll run background music, the occasional announcement, that sort of thing. This is typically what you'll find in doctor's offices, classrooms, restaurants, and the like. These systems can cover long distances with very thin, inexpensive wire thanks to their high voltage, but are not known to have great sound quality. Certainly not worthy of crab rave. And besides, what is this, the Stone Age? Why wouldn't we use Ethernet? With Ethernet, we can have high fidelity audio. We don't have to run snakes and low voltage audio cables. We can just use standard network cabling. And that means we can put speakers all over the place, keeping each individual speaker relatively quiet, improving clarity. Also, theoretically, because it's Ethernet, we can use switching to kind of tap into it from anywhere and have modularity and configurability. So you can address one side of the building, the other side of the building, or the whole freaking building. There's only one small problem. Everyone and their dog has their own platform and protocols that are various degrees of proprietary. That is what we thought until Dan found Dante, which is built on previous AOE and AOIP tech.
Some of the key benefits of Dante are it's uncompressed, high-quality audio. It's easy to install and expand. It scales really well. It's got wide manufacturer support. There's about 350 companies that are licensed right now. And typically, it's only supported by higher-end audio gear.
Oh, I knew there was going to be a catch.
Yeah, you pay the Dante tax. But Dante Controller lets you configure the routing. And you wanted modularity and ease of use.
Yeah, ease of use was pretty big. We want it to be something that any random staffer can use, or that someone
I don't want to be here when there's a little problem, or to change the levels or anything like that.
Especially because it could be at a LAN at 3 in the morning.
Exactly.
Can we configure it for like one button presets?
I'll show you what I've done.
Good Lord, I thought you said this was simple.
We ended up going with QSys mostly because of the end of it is simple. But setting it up and the configuration is what makes it complicated. I've always said you need complexity to make things simple. To get the one button and to get it easy for staff and to get it configurable, we have to have this mess of nodes and flows and things like that, especially as we've got loads of endpoints. We have about 30 speakers. We have wireless microphones, and maybe we do want to do a traditional PA when we do LANs.
Cool, but theoretically, it works?
It does. It's in production right now. They've been using it for the afternoon badminton sessions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So it's working then?
Yes. Both mics work at the same time. Maybe a little loud here.
Wow, that's cool.
And I've made it so that the volume of the mics is adjustable. So it balances the level. So it keeps everything consistent. So Linus can scream, and nervous LAN participants who have just won something and get to talk to their idol. It's all a very consistent level.
Show me how we can cordon off a section and turn it off.
Right here, I've got these volume ramps. And so by toggling off, the courts or the bathrooms or something like that, it'll take a section of speakers and dim them down to nothing or bring them back up. And the other thing is I didn't want a traditional mute button because say you're playing music in the background, you unmute it, the whole courts get blasted. So it's even got a ramp up time as well. So when you unmute it, it comes up nice and softly and slowly and then ramps up to where it needs to be. It's great.
Okay. In the long term, could we have like a little, a stream deck or something?
Yep.
Where you could like toggle on different sections of the building?
Exactly. Right now I have it set for the courts to be toggleable, and we could eventually do that for any zone that we want. Gym, the lounge upstairs, everything like that. Eventually what we'll have is a little iPad that they can carry around and pick what zones they want, or if they want to switch over to LAN mode, that'll kind of be a button and that'll adjust a whole bunch of things. But as it stands right now, I just have a very basic interface.
Basic.
Yeah, no, this is not like the user interface. This is the user interface that I've made right now. I didn't spend a lot of time on it. And as you can see, it's only like 3 buttons, so we can toggle if the court is enabled, and then we can also limit the volume of the background music. When you're playing badminton and things like that, it can be a nice background level. And then we have background music death, which basically takes the entire courts up to their maximum volume that I think is pretty damn loud.
Can we hear it?
Sure.
Let's do it.
You want some crab rave?
Yeah, let's do it. While Dan's getting them going, now's as good a time as any to show you the speakers that we ended up using. They're from SoundTube, and they are power over Ethernet, meaning that all we need to have is a PoE switch, and boom, you can have an amplified speaker anywhere you can run an Ethernet cable. So on this side of the court, we've actually got, I think it's 9 of them. Go ahead, Dan. Realistically, we'd love to add a little bit more acoustic dampening to the ends of the building, and there are still some things that Dan can tune within the software to help compensate for the echoiness of the space. But you can see as I move around, this is actually pretty usable. Crank it up, Dan, let's go. You can definitely tell when you're closer to one of the speakers, but there's so many that you're pretty much always close to one.
Another thing that I've implemented as well is automatic ducking. So I can talk into the microphone and do my announcements, and then when I stop.
Hey! Now that's pretty cool.
It's also time bound as well, so it's not down and up and down and up.
Friggin' loud. Like, what the heck?
To kind of prevent it from getting super loud.
Yeah.
I hook up my phone.
Yeah.
I set it to 100% volume.
Yeah.
It doesn't destroy the whole speakers and everything like that.
Yeah.
I've got a leveling system for the phone input as well. So if you're playing it super quiet out in the lobby, it's all going to be a consistent volume.
Oh, wait, we could just like connect our phone to it?
I have it Bluetooth to my laptop right now.
Oh, that's
the
sick.
adapter I have is Bluetooth. These are Shure Beta 58 wireless mics. And the thing is that the receiver's stuffed under a door in the kind of court area right at the front. They reach all the way to the back on both ports, and you don't have to think about it. And then when we come in to do LANs, we can be on site, we can do more weird things. This is just the most basic setup, super easy to do. Thanks QSys, I guess.
Oh, did they hook us up with software?
No,
it's
just
subscription?
No, it's perpetual licenses. We did have to pay for a whole bunch of licenses, like a Dante channel upgrade. Right now, I think we have 16 transmit flows. So I have 16 zones, including both bathrooms, and each side of the speakers are on different zones. So we got 4 along the left, 4 along the right, 4 for the hanging speakers, and then court concession in both bathrooms.
So is this the kind of installation that Dante is for?
Well, typically you use Dante to bring audio back and forth between the stage, the mixer, position, and speakers. But in this setup, we're doing things a little bit different. There's no mixer at all.
Right, because we're using QSys.
Exactly. So QSys is a network manageable audio, video, and control program.
Right, so we just don't need a mixer.
Exactly. It does it all in the box.
Tell me this though, does Dante have any special requirements from your network equipment? Like, can I just plug it into anything?
Yeah, not from the switching side. It does have extremely specific, like, transmit protocols that need to be followed, often requiring an entire separate network to be run so that it doesn't go over your normal local traffic.
Is it a latency issue or?
Latency issue and a traffic issue as well. You need very specific packet switching.
Okay, but our Unify stuff does it?
It does now. Up until extremely recently, Unify was one of the only companies that you could not use Dante with.
And yet?
And yet, they have released some alpha version right now which supports QSys, Dante, Crestron, all of those sort of switching protocols. And you can actually see on our RGB switches here, the ones in this greeny yellow are a specific Dante VLAN that we have set up.
RGB network switches. Who knew it would actually be very practical?
It's actually quite useful. So this is a completely separate VLAN which basically carries all of our audio traffic. Theoretically, all we would need to do to plug one of these guys in is just slap it in here to any PoE port, and then it'll activate, and if it's on the right VLAN, then now you've got audio.
2 analog inputs.
Yep, there you go.
Wow.
So that's actually a camera now.
Well.
So it's not going to work.
I am watching you.
Stop it.
On the subject of these dongles, I couldn't help noticing we have a lot of them we're not using right now. What is the plan for these?
These are all for the LAN eventually. For example, this is one that we're using downstairs for the microphone. So this is a stereo XLR in. This one here is a stereo XLR out, so we could have a traditional backline on a stage or something like that, and then feed the entire system directly into some big speakers. The nice thing about Dante in particular and these is I can pre-configure them in whatever port I want, and then all I do is I plug them into the network and they self-assemble.
That is so cool.
They're all addressed and they have controls on them too.
So when Chase is just rolling out LAN equipment, all he needs to know is this goes there, and boom, it's ready to go.
Exactly. Super sick. This one here is USB-C.
Oh, so it's blue. It goes
It's
in
two-way
and out.
communication. So this is, I believe, a dual stereo pair. The one that we have downstairs is Bluetooth, and there's a whole bunch of different ins and outs because Dante is kind of just a standard, and then companies can put it in whatever they want. It's pretty neat.
How much did it cost?
So this entire setup with all of these adapters and about 30 speakers was about 20 grand, I believe.
That is great. Guys,
Yeah.
you have no idea the kinds of quotes that I got from like audio contractors. And obviously we spent more than $20,000 total when we consider the time that our infrastructure team and Dan spent, implementing this. I think we're still out ahead though.
Absolutely. And all we had to do was run Ethernet cable, and the adaptability pays for itself.
Yeah.
It can be changed anytime we want. It can be in any port in this building.
That is so cool.
You just need PoE.
Like we could add a PA to the office up here. All we'd have to do is make sure that that port is running to a PoE switch, and then boom.
And this one is. So now we have a microphone in Jim's office. It's as easy as that.
That's so cool.
I know. I mean, we may have to switch a VLAN around, but that's mostly for security, right?
That's really cool. Like this cool segue to our sponsor, Rocket Money. How much do you think you're spending on subscriptions right now? Chances are it's more than you realize, especially if there's one that you forgot to cancel from a couple of months ago. But wait, don't leave to do that right now. Why not let Rocket Money do the heavy lifting for you? Think about it. No more calendar reminders, no more surprise charges on your card, and best of all, no more 20-question opt-out surveys. Rocket Money can help you axe those subscriptions in just a few clicks. And that's not all. They can even negotiate better rates on things like your phone or internet bill on your behalf. With all that money saved then, it's time to sign up for one extra thing, right? Wrong! Rocket Money can also help you budget your hard-earned cash so you can work towards getting that new computer upgrade or finally start padding out that savings account. So get started for free today at rocketmoney.com/LTT or click the link in the description to find out how you can unlock even more features with a premium plan. If you guys enjoyed this video, why not check out the last time that Dan and the team and I were frantically working on this place. But hey, it's almost done, right?
It feels so together.
Right? Like, look at this. We got like access control on all the doors and everything. Does that work yet?
Yep,
Yes!
everything's in.